Good day guys, today I will be building some cabinet boxes. So this is a cross section here of my cabinet box, and I have a whole bunch of them to do. My cabinet is going to be almost 25 feet long. And also here I drafted a sheet of plywood 4 feet by 8 feet just to see how many side panels for my cabinet box that I can fit on a sheet of plywood. And as you can see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I can fit 5 side panels. You can see here I have a dimension of 5'8". So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a line here at 5 feet 9 inches, and I'm just going to make a rough cut here with the jigsaw, just so my sheet of plywood is a more manageable size to fit through the table saw. So yeah, the rest of the side panels, they're all going to get cut on the table saw for precision. And I have 22 side panels to make. Okay, so now I gotta make my first rip cut. This side of the plywood here is gonna rest against the fence of my table saw. And you can see I put a pencil mark here. That means this corner here is perfectly square. I checked all 4 corners of the plywood and this corner here was perfectly square. So this is the side that it's gonna go against the fence of the table saw. So like I said, I have to make my first rip cut at 21.5 inches, but I will cut it at 21.75 of an inch. And then I will flip the panel and I will remove 1/4 of an inch, just because my table saw cuts, there's a nicer cut than the factory. Okay, now I have to cross cut my side panel. So again, I'm going to double check, make sure I'm staying with square edges. And that really looks perfect to me. So now I got to cut, the length of my side panel is 34 inches. And I'm going to rip it at 34.25 inches. Just because I'm going to flip the panel again, because this is a factory cut. So I'm going to flip it and remove 1/4 of an inch. That way I get perfectly nice cuts on the panels. Guys, so I was getting frustrated because some of the plywoods, I couldn't even get a square corner. On all 4 corners, some of them, none of the corners were square. So I was getting a little frustrated. So what I'm doing now is I'm cutting all my panels oversized. So now I just set the fence and I'm going to rip it to the proper width on all of them with the fence set up. That way all my pieces are going to be the exact same width. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to square up one end, and I'll show you that in a minute how I square it up. And then I'm going to set the fence, put this squared cut to the fence, and then rip all my pieces to the exact same, the exact length that I need. Okay guys, I cut all my panels to the exact width. Now we have to square one end. So I'm going to do this with my my table saw sled. This here is perfectly square to the blade. It took me a long time to calibrate it, but now it's dead on square. So now I'm going to start by squaring every single panel on one end. Okay, now that my panels are all squared up on one end, I set my fence for the proper width, and I'm gonna, so now this is the square end here, so this is gonna go against the fence, and I'm gonna cut all my pieces. They're gonna be all the same length, and they're gonna be perfectly square. Okay, I got all my side panels cut here, so now I'm just going to mark my 3" by 3" kick plate here. This is where your toes go underneath here. It's called, then there's going to be another plywood here I'm going to put afterwards, so that's called a kick plate. Okay, so what I've done is I use a dado blade to make a groove on the sides of the cabinet. So that's to insert the bottom plywood of the cabinet. It's going to fit right into the groove here. So I had to be very careful because half of them, the panels had to be left-handed, and the other half has to be right-handed. Very important. So this is what I mean, left hand side and right hand side, and then the plywood for the bottom is going to go in between here. Okay guys, you saw me cut a 3/4" groove here with a dado blade. That's to put my bottom piece. And I didn't show this on camera, but I also cut a groove here. It's just a little slightly over a 1/4" wide. I cut that with a dado blade, and that's my back plate. The plywood that goes here is exactly 3/4" wide. And this groove is 3/4 inch. I should have put a shim that's maybe the thickness of a sheet of paper, and I do have them, but I didn't. So as you will see, I'm struggling a little bit to put the plywood in here because it fits so tight. Alright guys, this is the back of the cabinet box. Earlier I put a groove here with a dado blade so I can put my my insert 1/4 of an inch thick, but from here to the groove I got 3/4 of an inch. So that's because my cross brace here, the plywood is 3/4 of an inch, so it sits on the 1/4 of an inch plywood here, and then now it's nice and flush here. So the two side panels are supported here by the 3/4 inch bottom plate, okay, and then it's supported at the top with a 3/4 inch by 3.5 inch wide plywood. And I put another piece of plywood in the middle here just in case my side panel wants to either bow in or bow out. So this piece of plywood here is going to keep it the right distance. So okay, so let's do the top now. Alright guys, so this is another cabinet box all finished. Again, this is the back side here. Okay, so I got a piece of 3/4 by 3.5 inch plywood here. Another piece 3/4 by 3.5 plywood. And then on the top, you can see where my 1/4 inch plywood here goes in right through. See where I put the slot here. This plywood here is also 3.5 by 3/4 inch plywood. And at the front here I wanted to beef it up a little bit more, so I cut my piece of plywood 4 inches wide. And I put 3 screws instead of 2. As you can see at the front, bottom is where my kick plate is. So where your feet goes underneath. I decided to cut that notch 3 inches by 3 inches. And after all my cabinets are installed, I'm going to put a 1/2 inch piece of plywood here to finish it up. There are many ways to do a cabinet, but this is just one way of doing it. And I'm happy that's the way I decide to do it. Alright guys, so thanks for watching.